Welcome to Unholy Vibes. I'm your host, Alex, and today we're joined by another very special guest, our friend David. David, go ahead and introduce yourself. Tell us who you are, how we met, and what you do.
I'm David. I met Alex through a mutual friend. I believe we were all just like hanging out with each other, and I guess the conversation geared towards scary stories, and
As it
I
does
don't
when
know,
you're around me.
it invited me to share a scary story or asked if I had one. Luckily, I did, and that's how we met each other.
Yeah, it was actually our mutual friend Spencer, who was on the show in season one. Unfinished Basements was his episode, I believe it's called, if I remember correctly. Spencer's story is pretty good, and I always tell him to share his stories. When we met, as I do with any stranger or person I just meet, do you have a ghost story? Have you ever seen a ghost? Anything spooky? And David had a fantastic story, and I've been bothering him for 6 months.
My bad.
It's a scheduling thing. Yeah, David, I appreciate you coming on tonight. Go ahead and dive right in, spare no detail, and then we'll discuss.
For sure, yeah,
Give us all the background, all that. Let's go.
for sure. Like a few of the other people you've had on, I went on a missionary trip to Pennsylvania. I believe I was 19 at this time. I was brand new. So we're still figuring it out. It's me and one other guy, and we go around teaching about Jesus Christ. We get to this brand new area. No other missionaries are there before us. And we're going around and we're meeting all the people in town. The story starts when we got a text from someone that was, "Hey, I was talking to people about your church a long time ago. I myself was baptized, joined the church, and my son wasn't, and I want him to learn." So she invited us to come over to talk to her son. Her son wanted to get the basis, figure out things. He wanted to touch more on a spiritual side. I think a lot of us connect that way, and some of us don't really know where to start. So we're back and forth for a couple days talking. We went over, we do our basic lesson where we like teach them, and then we schedule an appointment for the next week. And it's later in the day, so it's dark. It's the middle of winter, and it's central Pennsylvania. I don't know if you've ever been there, but when I first got there, before it started snowing, I was like, "Oh, this is." You ever see the movie Sleepy Hollow?
Years ago.
The next appointment was for later in the night. The setting of that area is backwoods, Pennsylvania. We're dipping into Amish country a little bit, just lots of forests. It gets really foggy. And I thought it was always weird. The setting is already scary, at least to me. Growing up playing a bunch of scary games like Slenderman and stuff, you're like, "Oh, a scary dark forest." We go to their house, and they're pretty out of the way. They live like a trailer in the woods, and it's starting to get dark. It's probably about 7 o'clock by the time we get there. We pull up, and as soon as we get to the door, they invite us in, and it's like a somber mood where just quiet. You can tell they have something they want to say. So we go inside their house, and immediately the mood is quiet. I don't know if you've talked to someone and they want to tell you something, and it's borderline on the like, "I'm nervous to talk to you about this because you might judge me," or "This weighs heavily on me and I don't know if I trust you with this information." There's a lot like that mood. And so we get that feeling. We go into our lesson like usual, and we finish and everything's fine. And then we're like, "Oh, do you have any questions?" Like classic courtesy if you're like teaching someone. It's like, "Oh, any questions?" Yada, yada, yada. You usually don't expect anything. And they're like quiet for a sec. Then the mom's like, "Yeah, do you know anything about dreams or the meaning of them or the value they hold?" Part of me was like, "Oh, this is fantastic. I love it when it like a deeper question." I didn't really know where this is going to lead yet, but she's like, "My son has had these reoccurring dreams for a while, and we're starting to get concerned about them because the subject matter of the dreams are a little iffy. Do we go talk to someone? Do we need to figure something out about them?" During the meeting, we're like, "Can we know what's going on in the dream?" The son is finally able to like talk to us. He's about 23 years old, taking care of his mom.
He was there the whole time, right?
Yeah, so he's here for
Yeah,
the
okay.
lesson. We're here to talk to him for the most part. And he starts to describe the setting of these dreams. And the one that really stood out is he wakes up. So he's in the dream right now. He's in his house and he wakes up. He's at his bed and he looks outside and he sees someone beckoning to him outside. It's a dark person. So he comes outside and he notices his dog. his dog is chained to this truck, and this person is a shadowy figure and is just pointing at the truck. And what happens is the dog that's chained to the truck drops down in front and it gets dragged. So in the dream, he's watching this happen. So he's watching his dog get killed. You said the subject matter of the dreams, it's not the same reoccurring dream. It'll be his mom or another relative or just someone else. We could see why they're concerned because that can weigh heavily on someone if they're dreaming every night and this is what they see. I wouldn't want to go to sleep if that's what happened. We're trying to console him and comfort him and tell him we can be hopeful about it. Like there's ways we can find peace in life. We can continue talking with him. We can find help if that's what he needs. As this is happening, he goes dead silent. We're just confused. We're like, everything okay? He looks up. I remember him gasping and like pointing. He's like, what's that? Like super startled. And we all look outside. It's dark at this point. The lesson went on for about an hour. So it's his front yard, just a grass lawn, and then a tree line in the dark. And in the corner edge of the trees, there's a shadowy figure. Like it's almost if a person was just standing in the dark and you could see their full silhouette, but almost as if there's like a mist draping down of that same substance, that dark. He says that's the person. That's what he sees. And me and my companion we're standing there like fight or flight hits. And so we grab our scriptures and start praying, go outside and try to pray at the thing, try to cast it out, invoking the name of Christ. At first, it was startling because it stood there, didn't move, didn't walk. Eventually, it just kind of dissipated down. It's just gone almost in an instant. We're super startled from that because it's almost the shock of did we see something? Was that a person? Did we get fooled by some trick? The feeling we felt while that was happening, just absolute chills and a sense of dread. The nature of the story we had just been told, and then the event that just happened. Eventually, we were able to get ourselves back inside, get that fear shaken out of you a little bit, talk with the family some more. And we like stayed there for another 4 hours or something. We were calling our church leaders and stuff, praying over the house, giving a blessing. And that's super scary. And like, it was one of those things where it's hard to go to your car and we're just on edge for the next few weeks talking to people about it.
Naturally.
As you can imagine, it was always something like for a while, I like half didn't tell people because it's like, did I misinterpret it? Am I a crazy person? Is it something that's sacred in a sense? Because even though I was there and it happened to me, I feel clearly more geared towards the son. And that's for the most part the story. Hopefully I was able to explain it pretty well.
You said even though you were there and it happened to you, you feel like it was geared towards the son you were teaching. How old was he again? He was 23. So not like a kid having
Yeah.
nightmares. This is a young
hmm
adult. Correct me if I'm wrong, but wasn't the dog in the house and freaking out as well?
The dog was there barking up a storm.
Because it's been a minute since you've told me this story. I thought the dog had started barking first and then everyone noticed what was outside. But if that's incorrect, sorry. The dog was there.
Yeah, because we were prepping this, I went back to my journal. I was trying to not verbatim what it said, but at least go with what was written down versus what I remember.
Probably
That was
straight from the
that was
source, right?
yeah.
Journaling. I was just thinking today, man, I should have journaled more.
There's people who journal every day, and I like mad respect for them, but I try to get the important events that happened, and that was one of them. So I'm
Yeah,
just glad I got that down.
me too. So you're there for probably 5 hours, maybe longer at this point,
hmm
because you've already talked, and then you're there for like 4 or so more hours. This is creepy. We can all agree this is just objectively creepy. I get the chills thinking about this because it wasn't just one person saying, hey, look, oh, there's something in the woods. You're all seeing this figure, right?
hmm
What even is this? What do you think this is all about? Let's speculate a little bit. Is this a ghost, a demon, an elaborate prank? Who knows? What do you think? You were there. Did you and your missionary companion discuss this? I'm sure you talked about it.
Yeah. So This is the mom's theory. She thinks, and this is with the son in agreement, that the figure, the person, was one of heaven's host who turned away with Satan. This person had a relationship with the son pre-mortally and was bitter and upset of the decision that the son had made, follow God's plan and come to earth. That bitterness continues to this day, and he just wants to see this person that he knew before suffer in any way possible. That was the mom's theory. For the most part, that's what I believe as well, or what I had accepted.
Well, for context, those of you listening, everyone's got their different beliefs and lore and doctrine. In the LDS faith and other sects of Christianity as well, but not all, it's believed that there is a pre-mortal existence, right? Pre being born, we were somewhere before, and that a lot of pre-mortal spirits decided they didn't want to follow God's plan. So they were cast out and not allowed to get bodies. They rebelled. I've actually brought that theology and doctrine up in previous episodes about different ghosts and things happening. And there's so many theories out there about ghosts, but again, we share common ground in our faith, David. So I look at a lot of these spirits and ghosts and demons and things like that, and I think it's one of billions of spirits that just doesn't have a body, whether it's one that was never born and won't be born, or one that was someone who actually was born and lived and died and is still here just as a spirit, right? Because it could go either way.
Yeah.
Like ultimately, it's who's to say? We really don't know.
It's a lot of conjecture. Just what's the logistics of this? How does this even work? Are
Exactly.
we even supposed to know how it works?
Exactly. Now, I'm going to play not devil's advocate, but kind of devil's advocate. Through that lens, we probably all had relationships with some of these spirits. What makes this kid in rural Pennsylvania so special?
That's another thing I thought about. I was like, it's not like I think most people aren't special or didn't have some kind of effect. Another thing was one of the reasons we went there is because this person wanted to make a difference in their life for the better. They wanted to start being a happier, more spiritual person. They're trying to learn whatever they can. I think that's like some kind of innate petty bitterness, spite, whatever term like you want to place on it, to some high degree of seeing that happen to someone, wanting to absolutely get rid of it.
Yeah, someone just being petty and being like, I don't think so. I'm going to cause problems.
Yeah, but
Essentially
it's
stopping a
it
butterfly effect.
yeah, exactly. I think exactly like a butterfly effect. It's like stop something while it's sprouting if you can make the effort. I don't know if my reasoning even goes towards that degree of intellect of what a spirit would have or do. That was my idea towards why this event would happen to him. But it does raise a lot of questions.
Oh, absolutely. While we do have our level of what we believe in, I still try to approach these things as objectively as I can, but I'm also thrilled by it all. And so it
Yeah.
goes back to the fact that we don't know, we don't understand it all is just fascinating. And so it's like, yeah, it could have been, right? Go ahead.
It brought to me a lot of introspective thinking. Looking back on it and being able to absorb it more, you start to think, what is good? What is evil? Because obviously, I've been taught this doctrine for a long time, and you don't go that long without questions and doubts. Who's to say that the spirit's in the wrong for doing something bad? Even if it feels obvious, where does it come from that was doing wrong? Who's to say that the kid was improving his life?
The dreams that were described seem pretty gruesome, mauling of
Yeah,
animals and family members on the
that's what I mean,
regular.
where that one goes and you're like, "Okay, that feels wrong. That feels very bad."
That is some
That
kind of
sets you
random.
back into the maybe that is the evil that I was thinking about earlier.
Yeah. So moving away from that specific lens, let's speculate. And I don't want to be disrespectful, but I want to look at this through different lenses. Going along with what you said just a little bit. I've met people and heard stories where spooky stuff only starts happening once they start maybe messing with things they shouldn't.
When it's invited in.
Yeah. And I know very little of shadow people, shadow figures. I've had one other person tell a shadow figure story on this show. I think only one. and it wasn't as significant. It was very significant, but the shadow figure wasn't like the main thing. It just happened to be happening on the side.
Mm.
This kid seems to have been tormented by this figure in their dreams. What's it take to have your dreams haunted?
The guy got to do to get haunted dreams.
What's it got to
You got
what
to find something at the thrift store, a doll or
you
something possessed. I don't.
maybe. Oh, dude. I yeah, thrift stores, maybe. I had another guest on, hasn't been published yet, but they had what they think were haunted items in their home. I've actually had a couple of other people I've talked to where it's come to light that maybe it was this specific item. Maybe it wasn't. Who knows? Did you continue to meet with these people?
Absolutely.
What happened? Did anything ever happen again? Or were you just like, hey, that was weird, wasn't it? Let's keep talking about the gospel.
Yeah, we went over the next day, the local church leader, and he led a lot of the discussion and talked about hope and peace and finding spirituality. Kind of a message of with Christ, we can be fine, everything can be all good. I think he did have a few more dreams and it subsided a little bit after that. We continued to talk with him, but as you do, you're a missionary and you get rotated out.
Yep.
I didn't keep in super good contact with this person. About a year later was the last time. A year later from this event was like last time I talked to this person. So it was just good news. It was one of those things where it's like you try to be hopeful with a person after something terrible happens.
Yeah,
You're
of
not
course.
like, hey, you still getting kicked in the dirt? It's more of like, I know you might be getting kicked in the dirt right now. And my message to him whenever we talked is that we have hope, we can be better, like our lives can be better and we can feel more peace.
Amen, brother.
I've had rough times in my life and it doesn't feel good when someone's like, hey, man, life still stuck. And you're like, yep, life still sucks, man. Thanks for bringing it up. Thanks, dude. Appreciate it.
So my question for you is, how quickly can you get in contact with this kid?
It would have to be through Facebook Messenger. I can obviously after this I can shoot a message and see.
Yeah, reach out to him and just say, "Hey, I was telling the story of when this happened, and I just wanted to follow up with you. I know it's been a long time, but have things gotten better?" And just see what he says. If you
Obviously,
feel
I hope for the
comfortable. I'm
best,
not
but
gonna.
it has been 5 years, so maybe he remembers me. To be
He's good.
fair, we
He would remember that event.
oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
There's no way I remember it.
I don't think that'd be an easy one to forget. Like shadow figure, shadow figure. Oh yeah,
I think that's just a me thing to not expect to be remembered, but yeah, I can reach out to him.
might as well because
I
he may
tried
have some more insight for us.
I tried to talk to my companion because I wanted to see what his story was with it, see if we misremembered or co-remembered something, you know?
Shared
And
delusion.
yeah, exactly. He never got back to me, so
That punk.
I know.
I really do find this interesting, and I think I need to try and find more people with shadow figure stories.
I did a lot of reading.
Oh, enlighten us,
Yeah,
please.
and I read from Reddit. I don't know how people view Reddit.
It can be a really good source of knowledge, and it can be a source of garbage as well.
Yeah. And this is when I was reading was one of the times it started to kick in. I was like, maybe what I believe isn't what's happening. And the option came up that like maybe there's two things going on at once. Like maybe this person's having dreams and if you believe in coincidences or whatever, but like maybe the shadow man showing up was a separate kind of event because the stories on Reddit all were like, yeah, I've seen a shadow man appear and it no harm. Like it was just there. Like it was just an entity present. I went back to my story and remembered as the shadow man in our like from my view was just there. To me, it didn't do anything. It was just there. And so
Right.
that's when I started to be like, is it two things or is it one?
It's a hell of a coincidence.
Yeah, I know. That's
Timing, right?
I think the timing, the coincidence always outweighed it of being like, no, I think this was just one thing. I think this was just a big event for this.
In your research, did you find anyone's explanations or any lore of what a shadow figure even is? Because I feel like shadow figures specifically are different than your typical ghost sighting.
Mhm.
Did you see any information on that? I should probably do my own research, but I'm asking you.
I think I need to find something that felt more solid because It was varying opinions of what it was. A lot of it was like, "Oh, it's a higher being just wandering." It just so happened to coincide with where you were at a certain time. It likes its isolation and loneness. That was one answer I got. The majority of them were essentially like they didn't seem sinister, they seemed very just wandering spirit-esque.
But just to stand there, though, it's kind of lame,
Yeah,
kind of boring. At least Rush
yeah,
has. Try and
like,
spook this out. Being
yeah,
a shadow figure is spooky, and
they were
I guess the standing at the edge of the woods is good enough. But I like the idea of it being on a different plane, right? And
Mhm.
I've talked to plenty of people and had people on as well that are like into light work and energies and different planes of existence. Who's to say, right? There's a lot of different fun, interesting theories when it comes to time, dimensions, wavelengths, light. Maybe it was an alien. Maybe it was an angel. Maybe spirit. Maybe it was someone who was there 1,000 years ago and had a little peek into a different time. I don't know.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
the fact
that's
that
the thing,
everything
it's
lined up,
crazy.
coincidence is coincidencing.
Mhm.
um,
Yeah,
I like
I play a lot of devil's advocate with myself, but sometimes it's just too overwhelming to be contrary to what I saw. So, yeah, it's crazy.
But yeah, reach out and see if they respond. If you feel comfortable doing that. And if they do respond, let me know and I'll update the peoples. Anything else you want to dive into? Any other spooky experiences you've had?
We already touched on it a little bit, but what do you think it was? Because you seem to get a lot of traffic on this kind of material.
I live by this saying.
I don't know whether to be concerned now.
And it's not entirely true. I don't know shit about shit. I don't want to pretend to know things that I just don't. That's why I say it's a lot of speculation. I like to speculate. And even through the lens of my own beliefs, it's still like maybe, but at the same time, we don't know. We have ideas, we have theories, but ultimately we don't know and we won't know until we do know. At first glance, I want to say maybe there was some malicious spirit tormenting this poor kid and somehow giving him bad dreams. That's a whole other conversation we could get into about dreams and their significance or insignificance, depending on what you believe in. Spiritual beings affecting your brain and your dreams. I don't know. Is that a form of possession? I don't know. Going back to what I said, do you have to be getting into some shifty stuff and inviting something in? I don't know. That's why when I'm talking to our listeners directly right now, that's why when I talk about this stuff and I say, hey, if you know anything or you have a story, come on the show. It's because I just want to learn more. I just want to know more. I could do my research and Google it, but that's not as fun as talking to people with experience. I don't know what it could have been, but immediate, like first reaction when you first told me it's some sort of malicious spirit. That's my first thought because that's the path of least resistance, right? I don't know a lot about the lore of Pennsylvania. Everywhere's got their own cryptids and mythologies. So I'm interested to learn more. Who's to say? Anyone listening, what do you think it was? If you know more about shadow people, shadow figures, and you have an experience with one, reach out. I want to know more because knowing's half the battle.
If you wanna actually my shadow spirit, I will be all ears any day of the week.
Yeah.
I'm in the same thing where it's the shock of it's been over for a while now. I've spent a lot of time digging. It's like you said, I don't know shit about shit, and I haven't learned shit about shit. I haven't gotten anywhere, and
Yeah, I'm a piss poor horror podcast host because I'm not doing my research. But again, I'm here just to hear your stories, hear everyone's
Mhm.
stories, and just have a silly goose time speculating and talking about it and theorizing. It's just a fascinating, fun time to discuss. And yeah, now that the shock is gone, this is what, 6 years ago, you said, give or take?
What was it? Yeah, 6 years ago?
Yeah, looking back at it, the spookiness is mostly gone, the shock is gone. It's like going back and rewatching a horror movie after you already know all of the stuff that happens. You're like, or watching it in the daytime with all the lights on.
Yeah,
It's like, this is not as scary. The mood's different, the time's different.
yeah.
Does that make sense?
No,
Uh,
absolutely.
I've said this in every episode. I'm not on that wavelength. I don't really have spooky experiences. I have like one, maybe two that I'll share eventually on the show. But even then, looking back, it's like, that was interesting. Wonder what that was.
You have to be spooked vicariously. That's how
Yeah,
you live.
I'm not an adrenaline junkie in the traditional sense.
So this is a weird thing about me is real life situations that might be concerning or cause harm. I think it might come from this, but now I'm fine. Like scary noise, going up the stairs while it's dark behind you, nothing.
Same. I'm at the point in
Nothing
my life
happens.
where I'm like, I've delved so deeply into this realm of spooky, supernatural stuff. Aliens still scare the shit out of me, but that's a whole other story.
I've never dwelled there.
Aliens are the one thing where it's hard to reconcile with my own beliefs, and it's fascinating still, and I want alien stories on the show. Alien stuff will make me lose sleep, dude, because I rack my brain over it. But with being afraid of the dark or anything like that, so what if there's a scary spirit there? So what if there's a ghost following me? What are you gonna do?
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah, for real.
what are you gonna do, ghost? Nothing. Bother me? Sure. You might bother me and I'll be like, "Hey, quit bothering me." But I'm not on that wavelength. So again, like you said, I'm getting spooked vicariously.
Mhm.
And uh in the woods with some friends just a few months ago, and something happened, but it wasn't really something. Our group of friends was all sitting around together late at night. We're talking about our spooky stories and all of that. I'm bringing in the good vibes, the unholy vibes,
Mhm.
just stirring it up because that's what I do. One of my buddies had gone up to go to the bathroom, and when he came out, he flicked the light switch and it shut off the wrong set of lights over the whole room. And it scared the crap out of everyone. For
Mm.
me, I was like, oh, oh, what interesting. Because none of us knew it was him. We all thought, because we were talking about scary stuff. So we're already like on edge, being like, ooh, ooh, I'm scared, I'm scared. And there's like 8 of us there. And in the middle of a spooky story, the lights turn off. Literally everyone was like, oh my gosh. But my first reaction was like, oh, that's interesting.
You go, it's my turn. Finally.
Yeah, it was one of those things where it's like, if this is a ghost turning off the lights, I'm not scared. I'm thrilled because what now? What do we do? Do we try and talk to it or egg it on? That's where I'm at in my life. If
Mm.
something scary happened to me, I would be more like, oh, interesting. Well, this is what's happening now. If I saw a shadow figure, the initial reaction would be like, holy crap, be like, whatever. And I record in the dark a lot. So something could pop up behind me and you guys would probably see it before I would. Holy crap. Oh, the jump scare. But then I'd be
Yeah.
like, what's happening, Mr. Ghost? What's going on? Oh man, I will have to tell you my story, thing that happened to me, but I'm not going to share it now. That's for another time.
Okay.
I will tell you next time we see each other in person. David, anything else you want to dive into? Any other spooky experiences or scary stories you have for us?
Not really off the top. Just like you said, it could go on for hours. I love scary games, scary movies. I love scary stuff as well. There's a lot you can do in the realm of like theory. In this situation, what do we do? Or if we see this, what do we do?
No, I'm right there with you. I love horror games. I love horror. Big Silent Hill and Dead Space fan over here, The Evil Within, like some solid horror games. And then horror movies in general, I find them very fascinating. And I can watch horror movies for the most part and be like, this is nice. I did just see Longlegs, and that was really disturbing to me the first time around, but I saw it again and I was like, that was fine.
I haven't seen it yet. I'm very hopeful about it. I'm the opposite. I get terrified. Games and movies, I think it's just loud noises and flashing lights. I think that's really what it is for me. But like I just like I can't do it.
You're,
I love
well, yeah, because it's an adrenaline rush, right? And you know what? This is interesting. New thoughts emerge. Maybe that's why things like this don't happen to people like us very often, because it's like we like being scared. Oh, what are you gonna
it's like
do? Go scare me?
I do this in my free time.
I
Like, come
literally,
on now.
I play games for this. This is a game to me, Ghost. What are you gonna do?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Really.
that's interesting. I wonder if that has anything to do with it. Or maybe it's just how we're built. And
Yeah.
I think everyone's built differently, physically, spiritually, all of that. And we've all got our different gifts and talents. I genuinely think that maybe that just has something to do with it. Like we're cut from the same cloth, David, you and I.
Yeah. I do agree because I've met a lot of people who are like, yeah, I always sense or feel this. I've had this experience. And it's like in my experience, I was a bystander. I was not the focal point.
Yeah.
I definitely was. I don't know, lucky's not the right word, but like the very chance to be there.
Not to like dive too deep into this, like think about spiritual gifts. Everyone's got a spiritual gift, no matter who you are. You have something just innately inside of you that is just different. I have a buddy who has a spiritual gift where he's very sensitive to things like this. But then there's people like you, people like me, where it's like, I don't sense nothing.
I can tell you without a doubt, my gift, nothing to do with this.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway, let's wrap up. David, thank you so much for coming on the show. It's been a long time in the making, long wait. We've waited a while. We've waited a long time to have you.
Yeah,
Gosh dang it, I'm glad you came. It was all worth it. Also, I just
felt good to
realized,
be here. Yeah.
yeah, dude. And here's the thing. Always happy to have you again. I just realized I've been like moving like this for half the episode. So sorry, viewers, but if you're audio only, don't worry about it. David, do you have anything that you want to plug? Any social media?
I don't care much about social media. But yeah.
Okay, everyone, as you know, I am in it for the love of the game. Reach out to me at Unholy Vibes Pod on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, wherever. Shoot me a DM. Reach out to me if you or anyone has any good spooky stories, whether it's supernatural, natural, killers, stalkers, ghosts, demons, aliens. Please reach out. I want to hear what you have to say. And if you have any insights to shadow people, shadow man, ghosts like this, dreams, how ghosts affect dreams, or anything like that, or if you just think it's all complete nonsense, feel free to reach out. Let me know. I like speculating. I like talking about it. Again, I'm in it for the love of the game. Thank you, David, for coming on Unholy Vibes. Thank you, everyone, for listening. Don't forget to share this with your homies, like, subscribe, rate, review, all that fun stuff. I love all of you. Remember to stay spooky, and we'll see you next time.